Emma Thompson has always dreamed of a beautiful apartment where she could start a new life with her family. With years of hard work and saving every penny, she was able to buy herself a luxury apartment in the center, Chicago. This apartment is not only the result of 15 years of tireless work, but also the place for her to start a fulfilling life with her husband Ethan and her stepdaughter Lily. Ethan Carter, the husband that Emma thought would be a solid fulcrum in her life, was not as simple as she thought. They first met when Emma was still working at a stable office job. But when life took her, the two met again by chance when Ethan left his job to look for another opportunity. From there, love blossomed, and within a short time, Emma decided to agree to marry Ethan. After getting married, Emma and Ethan's life seemed to go very smoothly. Ethan was always supportive of Emma's illustration career, and everything went smoothly during the first 3 years. But Emma couldn't have imagined that small changes in her life would soon destroy everything she had built. For the first time, when Emma noticed that Ethan was no longer as busy with work as before, she just thought that he was spending more time with his family. But later on, she realized that he really didn't do anything. One day, Ethan told her that he was quit one's job, even though he had never shared this with her before. "You don't need to worry about me, it's just time to rest a bit," he said in a calm tone as if nothing was surprising. Emma felt uncomfortable, but she decided to ignore it because she thought his rest was only temporary. However, the truth quickly emerges. Ethan has not only quit his job, but also has a separate life from Emma. He spends most of his time at home, while Emma still works hard to maintain the family's finances. When everything seemed to be fine, Emma decided that one day she would have her own house for the whole family to settle down in. She searched for a spacious apartment, and after many months, she finally decided to buy a luxury apartment, far from where she was living. This is a big decision, but Emma is confident that this apartment will be the key to a better future. But while discussing this plan with Ethan, he made a request that surprised Emma a bit. "My mother has been living alone for a long time. Do you think you can bring her back to live with us?" Ethan suggested, his eyes filled with worry. "I understand, but can we let her live with us?" Emma asked, sensing something was wrong. She loves her mother-in-law, but living with her will create some challenges. Ethan explains that his mother, Margaret, lost her husband and lived in loneliness for too long. "I know you don't like this idea, but I think she'll be happy to have us take care of her," he said. After some hesitation, Emma agreed. Life continued normally until one day Emma signed a contract to buy the apartment. She brought the contract back to Ethan, hoping he would be happy with this decision. But instead of excitement, Ethan just glanced at it and said, "This apartment is really beautiful. Mom will definitely like it." Emma was a little disappointed, but she didn't think too much about his cold reaction. In the first days of living in the new apartment, everything was still quite good. Emma is busy with work, and Ethan helps with the housework. However, it was all just a pretense. When Margaret moves in with her, Emma's life begins to change in a direction she never expected. The first day Margaret arrived, she thanked Emma very much for allowing her to live with her. "Thank you so much, Emma. I really don't know what I would do without you guys," she said, her face kind. But after just a few months, things began to change. Margaret began asking Emma to do things for her and constantly criticized Emma's way of managing the house. One day, Margaret asked Emma to clean her room because she had back pain. Emma was busy working, but seeing as she couldn't refuse, she had to go along with it. When finished, Margaret only said one sentence. "Do it quickly. Don't waste time." Emma felt extremely disappointed. With each request from Margaret, Emma feels like she is losing more and more freedom in her own home. But what hurt her more was Ethan's attitude. He did not defend her at all, but on the contrary, he said, "Your mother is old. You should sympathize with her." Emma feels tired and stuck. The life she once dreamed of is now becoming nightmare. And then, one day, when things started to get tense, she discovered the truth scary about his married life. Life in Emma's luxury apartment began to change dramatically when Margaret moved in. Initially, everything seemed fine. Margaret always expressed gratitude to Emma for giving her a place to stay after years of loneliness. But then, the truth gradually emerged. At first, she only asked for trivial things, such as asking Emma to help clean her room when she felt tired. Emma didn't think much, simply followed. However, after a few months, things were no longer so simple. One afternoon, Emma returned home after a long day of work. She was tired and just wanted to go to her room to rest, but as soon as she entered the door, a familiar voice rang out from the living room. "Emma, can you do this for me? My back hurts." Margaret sat in the living room looking tired. Emma sighed, took off her coat, and went into her mother-in-law's room. "Mom, I'm very busy. I need to work too." But Margaret has no intention of letting it go. She raised her voice, her eyes flashing with anger. "You just sit in the drawing room all day. Robert does all the work and you just sit idle." Emma was shocked. "Mom, we told you I'm not a maid. I have my job." Margaret shook her hand away, not bothering to listen to Emma's explanation. "We don't have time for this nonsense. Just do it. Don't make me repeat it." Emma's anger rose. She did not expect her mother-in-law to become like that. However, because she didn't want to cause trouble, she had to follow suit and clean Margaret's room. After finishing cleaning, Emma tried to control the anger boiling in her heart. "It's done. Is there anything else you need, Mom?" Margaret looked at her coldly and said, "Hurry up. Don't waste so much time next time." Without a word of thanks, she just walked into her bedroom, leaving Emma standing with resentment. That night, Emma recounted the incident to Ethan. "Robert, why is Mom acting like that? Don't you see anything?" Emma asked, her voice filled with worry. But Ethan just replied emotionlessly, "Mom is old. You should sympathize with her. She's just an old person." Ethan's answer made Emma even more disappointed. She realized that the person she called her husband was no longer on her side. At this point, she begins to feel that not only Margaret but also Ethan have gradually become people she cannot trust. In the following days, Margaret's behavior became worse. She always tries to control everything, from ordering Emma to clean her room and cook, to criticizing Emma's work decisions. One day, while Emma was drawing in her study, Margaret walked in and sat next to her. "Emma, why don't you do anything for the family? You keep burying yourself in work like that. He does everything in the house, and what about you?" she said with a bitter tone. Emma felt frustrated. She looked at Margaret, trying to stay calm. "I have my own job, can't you understand? I'm not a maid." Margaret ignored Emma's explanation, saying instead, "You can take care of yourself, but when he needs you, you have to be there. That's a wife's duty." Margaret's words were like a sharp knife piercing Emma's heart. She couldn't understand why her mother-in-law could be so cold and cruel. She had no choice but to follow all her requests. Life gradually becomes more stressful, and Emma begins to feel as if she is drowning in a quagmire. A week later, when Emma returned from a meeting, she felt something unusual. When she opened the door, the voice of Christina, Ethan's sister, rang out from the living room. "Robert, why do you let her do everything? What has she done for the family?" Christina said, her voice sarcastic. Emma stood still, listening to the conversation from outside the door. "We have to make her leave. She can't live with us forever," Margaret said, her expression cold. Ethan, although he did not object, did not seem surprised by his mother's words. Both of them said harsh words that Emma never expected. "We have to figure out how to get this apartment. You know, Mom, she's just a temporary person," Margaret continued. At that moment, Emma realized something. Her mother-in-law and her husband had been planning to take over this apartment for a long time. Ethan was ready to cheat on her, even though she did everything to maintain family life. Emma stood motionless. Her heart seemed to stop beating. She felt like everything was collapsing before her eyes. The people she loved the most, the people she trusted the most, were the ones who deceived her. Emma entered the living room with a cold face, even though her heart was in pain. "What is going on here?" she asked, staring at Ethan and Margaret. Both of them were stunned, not expecting her to appear right now. Ethan hurriedly said, You're back already?" But Emma wouldn't let him say more. "What are you both planning? What do your mother and I want from me?" Emma's words were like a slap in their faces, leaving both unable to resist. Christina left quietly, but Emma knew that this war has only just begun. Emma couldn't believe what she just heard. Both Ethan and his mother had conspired to deceive her from beginning to end, and now everything had become clear. Every word they said was like a knife stabbing into her heart. She gave them everything: love, sacrifice, and 15 years of hard work to get this house. Yet they repay her with betrayal. Emma couldn't stand still. She turned and walked into her room, her heart heavy. Mixed thoughts swirled in her head. She wondered what she did wrong, and if there was any way to save this relationship. But when she thought of Margaret's cruel words, she knew the answer. Emma cannot continue living in such a family. She decided to face the truth, no matter how painful. One morning, after preparing breakfast, Emma walked up to Ethan, who was reading the newspaper as usual. "Ethan," Emma began, her voice cold and firm, "I know everything. You and your mother lied to me a long time ago. I have nothing more to say to you." Ethan raised his head, his eyes surprised as if he didn't understand what was going on. "What are you saying?" he asked, trying to keep his tone calm. "You and your mother wanted to take over this apartment. You secretly lied to me about your job, about your life. You knew clearly that your mother wanted to deprive me of ownership and make me leave. You knew everything, but you still turned a blind eye." Emma couldn't take it anymore. "Do you think I don't realize? Everything you do is just to take advantage of me. Your mother has been planning it for a long time. Both of them have wanted me to leave since I bought this apartment." Ethan was silent. Emma stared at him, feeling anger rising inside her. "I don't think I can continue living in this family anymore. If you don't change, I won't be able to stay here. You can go find another place to live with your mother. As for me, I'll leave." This statement came as a shock to Ethan. He didn't expect Emma to be so determined. He stood up, his voice filled with confusion. "Don't you understand? My mother needs us. Both she and I have been through so many hardships." Emma interrupted him. "Yes, your mother needs us, but not in this way. Your mother doesn't respect me, and neither do you." Emma has no patience anymore. She walked straight out without looking back. The next day, she called her lawyer and started the divorce proceedings. She decided not to wait any longer. Her life was tiring enough, and she didn't want to continue living in a family where she always had to strive to be respected. A week later, Emma received notice from her lawyer about the divorce. She signed all the papers and sent them to Ethan. When she got home, Ethan was sitting in the living room, his eyes dull, as if he didn't understand what was going on. I signed the divorce papers, Emma said, her voice calm but determined. If you don't want a divorce, then we can do it separately. But I won't continue to live in this relationship anymore. Ethan looked at her, saying nothing, but his eyes showed a deep confusion and disappointment. Emma doesn't care anymore. She has already decided. Her mother-in-law is not the only person in this family who makes her suffer. Neither did Ethan. This life no longer has meaning if you have to endure their words and actions. Emma started preparing everything to leave. She sold the apartment and decided to move to another city to start again. She doesn't want to continue living in these painful memories. The first day she got home after signing the papers, she informed Margaret that she was selling the apartment. "You will have to leave," Emma said, her voice calm but firm. Margaret looked at her, not believing her ears. "What? You can't do that. This is ours," she shouted. "This is my house," Emma replied. "I paid a lot for it. And now I won't let you and Ethan take advantage of it anymore." Emma was unmoved by Margaret's anger. She walked out, feeling like she had just lifted a huge burden. The apartment eventually sold for a high price, and Emma decided to use the money to start over. She contacted the buyer and informed that the apartment would be transferred. A day later, Emma waited for the buyer to come see the apartment. When they arrived, Margaret and Ethan were in the house. Emma walked in and faced them directly. "This is the last time I will see you. This apartment no longer belongs to you," Emma said, her voice calm but sharp. Margaret looked at her, her face red with anger, but Emma didn't care. "I've had enough of you guys. You'll never live in this house again," she said and turned away. Margaret tried to hold back, but Emma had no emotions left. She walked out, deciding everything would end here. Sometime later, Emma received news that both Margaret and Ethan had to move out and find new places to live. She no longer felt anger, only a feeling of relief. Finally, she felt she had her life back. No one can manipulate her. No one can hurt her. Emma does not regret her decision. Although the process was painful, she knew it was her time to step out of the darkness and live the life she deserved. And perhaps she will find a new love, a new life, where she doesn't have to worry about betrayal or deception. This was the moment Emma realized that I have won. When Emma entered the sold apartment, everything seemed to be in the past. Every corner of this house is associated with painful memories that she can never forget. She looked around one last time, feeling like she had just overcome a long and challenging journey. At this moment, there is no longer any regret or feeling of defeat. She decided that she would not let those who deceived and took advantage of her continue to enter her life. She looked ahead, not with hatred, but with determination to regain control. She sold the apartment not only to escape the people who betrayed her, but also to prove to herself that she could be stronger than them. Late one afternoon, Emma received a call from an unknown number. When she answered the phone, a familiar voice rang out. That was the word Christina, Ethan's younger sister. "Hi, Emma. I think we need to talk," Christina said with a bit of tension in her voice. Emma was a little surprised, but she also didn't want to hide. "I'm very busy, but if you want to say something, I can listen." Christina begins to explain what happened from Ethan's side of the family. "My mother and my brother are having a hard time. I know I can't change what happened between us, but I think you should help them again," Christina said, her tone gentle but a little helpless. Emma listened but did not let her emotions control her. "So what do you want me to do?" she asked, trying to stay calm. Christina continued, "Can you help them a little? That apartment originally belonged to you, and they are still in great trouble." Emma paused for a moment, feeling there was no sympathy in her heart. She remembered the words that Christina's mother and brother had said, words that she could not forget. So what? What right do they have to ask me for help? Emma interrupted, her voice devoid of pity. Christina was silent for a moment, as if sensing the coldness of Emma's answer. I understand, Emma. I just want you to know that we are family. But if you've made your decision, there's nothing I can do about it. Christina said, disappointment clear in her voice. Emma simply replied, Family? They didn't consider me family, and I couldn't continue living in a family like that. After that call, Emma felt relieved, but also determined. She decided not to let anyone disturb her life anymore. She couldn't continue wasting time on the people who betrayed her. A day later, Emma received another call, this time from Ethan himself. He tried to contact her many times, but Emma deliberately did not respond. She didn't want to hear his meaningless apologies. However, unable to refuse this time, Emma answered the phone. Emma, I'm really sorry. I don't know what to do now. Can you give me a chance to explain? Ethan said, his voice filled with pleading. Emma didn't want to hear any more reasons. Don't say anything else. You don't deserve an explanation from me, she interrupted. You and your mother have used me enough. There's nothing more to say. Emma's words were like a bucket of cold water poured on Ethan. He was silent for a long moment before saying, I understand, Emma. I can't change the past, but I want you to know that I was wrong. I'll leave you alone. Emma hung up the phone without giving it another thought. She did the right thing. She no longer wastes time on people who don't appreciate her. Right then, Emma made up her mind, sell everything regarding the apartment. Hold nothing back. She didn't want any of the items there to remain as reminders of her painful past. She handed the apartment back to the buyer, not forgetting to inform Ethan that he would have to leave with his mother. The next day, when the buyer arrived, Emma was not only the one selling the house, but also the one who took the initiative to completely end the relationship with the people who betrayed her. She never once looked back. She walked out, took one last look at them, and walked away without a trace of regret. What happened between them left only faint traces of the past. Emma returned to her new apartment, where she found peace and quiet. She started a new life with a different vision. From then on, Emma did not have to endure any further manipulation or suffering. Every day, she feels herself becoming stronger and more free. And as life began to stabilize, one day, Emma received a call from Christina, who is finally no longer involved in Ethan and Margaret's machinations. I've decided. I don't want to be involved in this anymore, Christina said, her voice no longer as helpless as before. I can't help them anymore. I just hope you find the peace and happiness you deserve. Emma smiled, feeling like the burden was finally lifted. Thank you for understanding. I will never go back to that place again, she replied, and felt the freedom in her words. You don't have to live in the past. Her life will belong to her from now on, and she will not let anyone destroy it anymore. Emma not only overcame the betrayal, but also found herself again. She can live without worrying about people disrespecting her. Finally, Emma is in control of her life, and she knows that the future will always be bright. Emma's life gradually returned to the trajectory she always wanted. After selling the apartment and cutting off all ties with Ethan and Margaret, she found a new place to start over. She did not regret leaving everything, because she knew that this decision was the right one, the only way for her to find herself and live a free life. Sometimes, people need to let go of the things that drag them down in order to rise up. In the first days of living in her new apartment, Emma felt like she was freed from a huge burden. She can do the things she loves without having to worry about manipulation or nagging from Margaret. She spends time on work, on developing her illustration career, and most importantly, she takes time to take care of herself. She learned to love herself and realized that no one could make her feel inferior except herself. Every day is a new step. Emma no longer has to live in the shadow of those who betrayed her. One morning, while Emma was working in her room, she received a call from Christina, Ethan's younger sister. Emma wasn't surprised, but felt a little nervous when she heard Christina's voice. "Emma, I need to talk to you for a moment," Christina said, her voice tense but not sounding like she wanted to bother. "Can I see you?" Emma felt something was wrong, but she still agreed. She knew she couldn't hide from what happened. "Sure, just come." When Christina arrived, Emma invited her into the living room. She knew that this was an important conversation, and her feelings about it were correct. Christina started the story. "I just want you to know that Mom and him, they haven't changed yet. They're in great trouble. He's bankrupt and was fired from his job. My mom can no longer pay for everything." Christina hesitated for a moment before continuing. "You don't have to help them, but I want you to know that they really need help. I don't know what to do." Emma didn't feel any sympathy. She was so tired of everything related to Ethan's family. "Do you think I will help them?" Emma said, her voice hard and showing no emotion. "After everything I've been through?" "No, Christina. I can't help them anymore. I've already put in too much and they don't appreciate it." Christina bowed her head as if she already knew Emma's reaction. "I understand, Emma, but at least you should know that I did everything I could. My mother and he continued to lie to others to stay alive, but I couldn't help them forever." Emma felt relieved when she heard Christina say that. She knew that she was right when she decided not to continue having anything to do with these people. No one has the right to take advantage of you anymore. "I did the right thing not to help them," Emma replied, her voice low. "You need to see things more clearly and live for yourself. Family is not the one who causes us such pain." Christina nodded, seemingly feeling sympathy from Emma. The conversation ended with a brief hug between the two women. Emma understood that Christina had learned a valuable lesson about family truth. She also knew that, like her, Christina needed to find her own path, one that wasn't dominated by unworthy people. A month after that meeting, Emma received a call from an unfamiliar number. When she answered the phone, Ethan's voice rang out, full of weakness. "Emma, I need your help. I'm in big trouble. Can you lend me some money?" A feeling of anger immediately rose in Emma's body. This was exactly what she didn't want to hear from Ethan anymore. She's had enough, more than enough. "Ethan, do you still dare to call me?" Emma said, her voice lacking any sympathy. "Do you think I'll help you again?" "Just do it yourself. You destroyed everything yourself. I found your debt collection letters. I know you're in trouble, but that's the consequence of the wrong decisions you made." The silence lasted for a moment. Then Ethan spoke weakly. "I know I was wrong, Emma, but I have no choice." Emma didn't want to hear any more words. She interrupted. "You hurt yourself. I'm not the one who rescued you. And don't ever call me again." She hung up immediately. That call was just a meaningless apology, an apology that she would never accept. During the time that followed, Emma felt like she had found true peace again. She continues to work, continues to live the life she has chosen without any influence from the past. She understood that she did not need to continue in relationships that destroyed her. She won, not just through revenge, but by living better, being stronger, and never going back to the things that made her miserable. The traders paid the price for their actions, and Emma, at last, found the freedom she'd always craved. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more emotional and powerful real-life stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We've got many more captivating stories lined up that will keep you hooked. Whether you're looking for tales of triumph, betrayal, or personal growth, our channel has it all. So join our community and stay tuned for the next chapter. Your journey with us has just begun. Hit subscribe now and don't miss out on the next unforgettable story.